I'm in the process of putting the aluminum frames back on. Can't put the middle one on till the lens goes in, because these things here have to go over the top. This thing here goes over the top of the lens, and it would block the channel down here where the screws go. So you can't do that. That's the last one you put in. But you can go ahead and put your two end ones in. At least I assume you can. If not, I'll have to take out the aluminum frame again, which I don't want to on both sides. All right, one more thing. There's some plastic things that when you took off your frame and your taillights and all that stuff, you should have had a little plastic insert here that fits down into a square hole down in there. And you have to tap it in. It's just a collapsible kind of thing. And you tap it in. Yeah, I took a little hammer and tapped it back down in on both sides. I kept those. At first I thought they had something to do with the, holding the taillight, the license plate to the car. But they didn't. I kept them, and I'm glad I did now, because they're still in good shape, and I tapped them down in there on both sides, and they're used to hold up this centerpiece that goes across there. I don't know why they did that. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but that's the way they did it, and that's what we're going to have to live with. So I'm getting ready to put the gasket. I've already got the aluminum on around each side of the taillight. Nothing in the center yet. That comes on last, or goes on last. And the other ones over here, I got all brand new screws, putting it in. Went down to my local hardware store, found exactly the size I needed. Put nice new shiny screws in all the way around, and shine it up a little bit more with those Dollar General Brillo pads I got for $1 a box. What the heck? I'm going to have to take it out later on anyway. I want to shine it up even more, but that's not a big priority. I'd like to get a smaller buffer with a buffer wheel on it where I can do that sort of thing. I really like shining up aluminum and stainless steel on a buffer with compound. It's just, I've done it. I did it for years, actually, and it always turned out great. It's just wonderful. If you take your time and go slow, you can really produce a nice, shiny product. Anyway, let's move on. I need to put these gaskets on in order to put the taillight lenses on, and unfortunately, they're just floppy as can be. They don't sit in one spot. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to stick it on and stick it in place without using gobs of stuff to do it. So I contacted Nick out in Vintage Thunderbird Repair, and I said, what do you use to put that on there? I said, they're awful floppy. He wrote back, he said, well, take some of that super adhesive, this stuff here. It's called Black Super Weather Strip and Gasket Adhesive. That's what he told me to use, and I just happen to have a tube of it. And the reason I have a tube of it is because that's what I use to put this gasket around the trunk right on the very beginning, because there was rain coming down off our carport, and it was hitting the trunk lid, and I wanted that thing sealed. So I got plenty. Now, you don't have to really use that. You can use just about anything as long as you don't goop it up, because there may come a time you have to remove that gasket. You don't want to be fighting getting all the old sealant on there that you put on there when you didn't know any better. Here is some gasket sealant that you can pick up at O'Reilly's. It's non-hardening, but it's got a darkness to it, just like the black stuff I just showed you. And here's another one you could probably use, and this is called clear adhesive sealant. It's made by Permatex. It's a silicone RTV type stuff. That'll work real good too. So how do we put this stuff on? Well, I was going to go ahead and use my finger, put a smear, a light coat all the way around, and stick the gasket in as I went. But I think old Nick came up with a better idea. I've never tried it before, and I'm willing to give it a shot. He said, take one of these little acid brushes, put a little of the sealant on the brush, and then just kind of paint it along there. Thin coat, and then stick your gasket on as you go. It'll make sure the holes are lined up, with the holes that go through the taillight lenses, so there's no problem with that. Also, I want everybody to see our nice new screws. If I can figure out what I did with them now. I had them. There we go. We got a nice new packet of taillight lens screws from Bird Nest, but I will tell you, the diameter of these screws, they'll work. I've already checked them out, but the diameter of these screws, it's not the same as the original. They're a little bit skinnier. The originals were a little bit fatter. but I've checked these out and they'll work fine. I also got some gaskets for the front parking light lenses, and I also got the wires in to repair those sockets in those assemblies. So we'll work on that next. Let's see if we can't get the gasket on, and we need to put the plastic globes, those red plastic globes. We got to put one here, and one here. That's what those screws are for on each side. And that's these babies down here, right here. I'm glad I got these. These things came in at the perfect time, just a little while ago. Perfect. They're going to fit right over the top of that baby, just like that. And they shine out red in the center instead of white. So you get kind of a uniform reddish look to the taillights all the way across. You don't get a red here and then a whitish look here and then a red over here. That would be kind of dumb. The way they overcame that was with those globes. And also that area here where that paint got messed up, that silver paint. I've got a foam rubber brush here somewhere. I'm really organized here today. I want you guys to know that. I had it here somewhere. Anyway, I've got a foam rubber brush. Probably fell on the floor somewhere. I'm just going to spray it. I've shaken up the paint real good. I'm going to spray the edge of it and just kind of take it and push it in there and brush it around until where it covers those dark spots. So let me do that first. This is the foam rubber brush I'm going to use. These, I had a whole bunch of these sent to me by Ron C. It must be a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. Can't remember. And he just ordered them, and they had them sent to me when I was working on something. I can't remember what it was, a radio cabinet, I think. And I have a lot of them left, so I'm just going to spray paint that with the silver paint and just kind of dab it in there around the bulb, just to cover it up, just to make sure it reflects a little better. And down here is a little kind of a dull spot down there too. I may go across this entire thing. There's another one over here. I may go over there and try to touch it all up with this one brush. Alright, the patches have been done with that brush. Hopefully it'll dry silvery color, or as silver as the other, without showing up a big spot behind the taillight lens or the center lens. But if it doesn't, well, you know what they say, c'est la vie, time to move on, folks. Alright, the gasket cement is brushed on in a very thin coat. You can almost see the metal through it. I didn't want to glob it on. The only reason it's there is to hold the gasket in place. Let's get the gasket on. I'm going to start right here in the center with that very thin piece on the gasket, which is this thing right here. See how thin that is? I'm going to work from here to the outside. Well, the gasket is up, and what have I learned from this little venture? Number one, I learned the gasket is not cut right. The holes don't match up with the holes that are in this pot metal deal, which really irks me. But now that it's up, it's going to stay. I'll probably have to wind up punching a hole through the gasket a little ways away from where it's supposed to be, from where it is on the gasket. But I can make it work. It's not that much of a problem. It just irritates me that they didn't punch the holes properly to fit these things. That's crazy. Number two, I used that black stuff on there to hold the gasket in place. I'm not going to do that again. It was too messy. I'm sure old Nick has got it down pat. I used a brush then, and eventually I had to use my finger. And so from here on out, for the rest of the gaskets, we're going to use this clear. Way too messy black stuff. I remember that now when I did the trunk gasket. I was a mess when I got done. So we're going to go with the clear. I'm not sure it'll hold any better or any worse than the black adhesive, but in my mind, adhesive is adhesive. So let's go ahead and set this one taillight lens in to kind of give you an idea of what we got. Well, it looks pretty darn sharp, doesn't it? And we still have more aluminum to put around the outside edge, the inner aluminum. So let me punch a few holes in here, see if I can get those screws in there where it'll hold it in place. I don't want it to fall out on me. So how do we punch a hole in that gasket? Well, we use a jeweler's screwdriver. This is nothing new to me. I've punched holes in gaskets my entire life where the holes didn't line up. Sometimes it was because I glued the thing in the wrong place, or sometimes, you know, the gasket just wasn't made properly, and this is just one of those times. So I need to put a, you see, I need to put one right there. See where it's covered by the gasket? That is really bad. Not even close to the hole. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and punch the screwdriver in there till I find the hole, and that should be it right there. Let me see if it'll screw in. Alright, I got it started, nothing to it. Screws right on in there, okay? That's how you do it. Use a sharp screwdriver and punch your little hole. Now some of these, you have to loosen them all up until the taillight lens is perfectly where it's supposed to be, then go around and tighten them all up, okay? Don't just clamp them down, then go over to the other end and clamp them down overhead. You know, just force it in because they're not lined up properly. You stand a chance of cracking them. So keep them loose until the thing fits nice, and then go ahead and tighten them on down. Starting from the middle, working outward. That's the way I plan to do it. Using the clear, it went on much faster. No fuss, no muss or anything. I didn't have it all over my fingers and black stuff everywhere. It took about 1/10 of the time. And I'm getting ready already to put the other taillight lens in. Now, if you're an amateur like me, I recommend you go ahead and try the clear adhesive silicone by Permatex first. Or some other clear, you know, adhesive. Clear adhesive silicone RTV, just to hold the gasket in place. That's all you're doing. So the gasket can do its job after you put the lens on. But, you know, a guy like Nick, you know, he's done probably 75,000 of these things, and he can do them in his sleep using that other adhesive without making a big mess. Man, I had crap everywhere again. Well, let's get the lens back on. Well, so far so good. Both of them are on. I'm thinking about putting the gasket on tonight before I go in, and it's getting pretty cold out here. I programmed some time to do this entire thing today, but then I had forgotten. I told the wifey I would cut her hair, and I had 2 dogs to give a bath. So that kind of put the kibosh to that. But anyway, we're still looking very good. I did get some stuff done. I'll go ahead and put this gasket on, let it set overnight, come out tomorrow and check the tail lights, the backup lights, and everything before I put that centerpiece in. And I've got to put that Thunderbird emblem on the center one here, so that'll be something else I'll have to do. So let me go ahead and get the gasket on, and then we'll just call it a night. Well, this is the next day. We are finally able to get these parking lights back together because the pigtails came in, and you can buy these on the internet. The way you gotta do is on eBay. That's where I got them. They're not cheap, but you know, they're good quality stuff, which is what I really like. Let me zoom in here. They got really nice springs. The tips are soldered on well. The wire's good quality. And all I did was cut off, you know, a piece from the original wire that has the plug on the end and spliced it on. I tinned both. You know, stripped them back, tinned them just like I showed you previously. And then put a piece of heat shrink on each one, and then a heat shrink over the entire mess where the two were covering both of the wires that had already been heat shrunk. So we're ready to go, but I wanted to show you one thing. Let me get a pencil here. Let me see, I might want to turn the light on for this. I know it kind of shows up a little yellowish, but on these sockets, on all these sockets that take these kinds of bulbs with the two deals, actually on all of them, you notice that there's a little slot right here. Let me get it in the camera there. See that little slot in the plastic? That slot is there for a reason. On the socket itself, you'll see an indentation right there at the bottom. That slot fits over that indentation. And what that does is once the two come together, it keeps the black plastic, whatever they call it, socket, I guess. I don't know what you call it. But anyway, it keeps it from moving back and forth. And You just fit it right in there so that knob, or that little, let me get over here. It just slips right on down, all the way down, until it fits over the top of that indentation. And this thing here, the back part of that, will fit out the back where it's shaped like that. Let me go ahead and get it together. I'll show you. Once you get it all the way down, the slot around that indent, that dimple there, this back part of the socket itself will stick out through here, and about that far, okay, and it'll be down inside far enough to where the bulb will work. Now make sure you grease the bulb. You got to put some silicone grease on it, the dielectric silicone grease on the bottom of the bulb, and also on these little points that stick out. And don't be afraid to put it on there. It was brought up by one of our subscribers that he had used that stuff at one time and it messed everything up and didn't work. Well, it was probably caused by not a tight enough fit. Silicone grease, your dielectric grease that's used in bulb, they call it bulb grease. You can buy it at any auto parts store. If the grease is thin enough, now grease is an insulator. Grease, I'll say that again, grease is an insulator. It is not a conductor. However, that being said, if it gets thin enough, it will allow electricity to pass. Okay, so when you're pushing these things here, the bottom of the bulb here, against those things down in the socket, those gold things right there, when you're pressing them against it, that grease gets squished so thin that yes, electricity will go through there. Voltage will go through. Same thing with anything. Now some guys really gob these babies up with grease. I don't like to do that. I just kind of put enough on the bottom to where they'll slip a little bit, and then put enough on each side around here, around each of these things here, that where it helps it get into these little slots you see right here, okay? Because it has to go in, turn to the right, and then come up into this little catcher here. All right, let's get this back together. The first one is already done. It looks pretty good. Not the best in the world, but it does look fairly good. I can't wait to get them back in and see if they'll light. This again is a compression fit. They go in, doesn't matter how it goes in, but once you get it down in there, you got to get it in there far enough to where, whenever you have to change the bulb, you don't want to have to push it all the way out the back with trying to put the bulb in. That's why it's a hard compression fit. And you can go ahead and leave the wires loose a little bit. I mean, you can always reach up back of this thing, and if you ever have to change the bulb, you can turn it and pull it on through like I just did right there. It's not that big a deal. Okay? All right, now the way I found that to get these things in is you take a pair of pliers and just use that as a hammering point. And you're not really hammering, but just like that. See, it's not touching the plastic. Then you just take a little hammer and tap on it. You tap on the pliers like so, and then it will drive it right down on in there without causing any damage whatsoever to the brass fitting. Just make sure you're not touching the plastic with the pliers. In other words, don't use this part. Use this part here where there's plenty of movement. You don't want to damage that, or you'll be starting all over again. Well, that's as far as I drive mine in. I don't want them to go much further than that. I don't want to damage these things. That is brass, and this here is pot metal. It won't take much to mess them up. And I like to turn the socket so it's pretty much horizontal. The black plastic thing will be horizontal. And now we flip it over. We're going to go ahead, and I've already put the gasket in. Got brand new gaskets. Now these gaskets here, you don't have to put a bunch of stickum and everything on there. There's a ledge. You can see the ledge. There's a ledge all the way around here that'll hold it in. And that ledge right there. And then you just press it in with your fingers. It'll stay in place. Just press it in so it's down below that lip, that ledge. Now we'll go ahead and stick our little parking light lens in. I got the bulb in already. As I said, I was getting ready to say, I don't know if I did or not, I pulled back on the wires. And after I greased the bulb and the sides of the bulb, the base, I slightly pulled back on the wire to help me get the bulb in there. Because these are brand new springs and they're pretty stiff. And I got it in there, locked it right in, and then released the wires, and everything was okay. But I didn't yank the wires. I just gently pulled them back as I was pushing the bulb in. and it went in nicely. That's kind of a tough place to get a bulb in. Well, that's that, folks. There's one more thing I wanted to show you, though. You'll recall that this thing here had been, let me get a light over here. You'll recall that thing right there had been broken out a little bit right there where I put all that JB weld in there. Well, that is really hard as a rock now. That JB steel reinforced epoxy, JB weld. It's really great stuff. Anyway, what happened was, I think, like I said, this is the one that was in the accident on that where the fender was banged up, and they reused it because it was pretty good. However, these two bolts go through a bracket underneath the car there, through a hole on each side, and from what I can gather, this part right here butts up against that bracket right there. Well, you know, the hole is pretty large that this thing butts up against, and I think that's what happened, was this thing pulled through or something. But I'm not going to let that thing butt up against it. I'm going to give it an extra little butt by putting a flat washer there, and that'll protect it. Now it'll butt up against, when this thing goes through the hole, that bracket will butt up against this flat washer and not the parking light. Then of course we have our proverbial lock washer and a nice new nut. This has all been cleaned up. And that is it. Time to get it back on the car, both of them on both sides, and we'll see if the lights are going to light up. Everything is back the way it's supposed to be. All we have to do now is see if the tail lights light, the signal lights light, the backup lights light, and the brake lights light. So let's go through that drill. We shall do it all in the dark. Tail lights first. Let me see if they're all lit. Ooh, God, that looks cool. That looks cool. Let's try left signal turn lights. Right signal. Let's try reverse. Yes, yes, yes. All right. Now let's hit the brake and see if they'll work. I think we're good to go. Now we're going to take a look at the front parking lights and see if they're operational. The passenger side is lit nice. I wanted to use the amber ones, but I think you have to have amber lens covers too. And there's the driver's side, both good. Let's try the left turn signal. Cool. Let's try the right turn signal. This is the last of it here. Of course, we still have to fix these things on the fender, but the wires are not connected to those. Okay. All right, that leaves us with only one thing left to do. I've got to take one of these seats and put it in the driver's position, bolt it down, and that's going to be about it. I'm going to start the car tomorrow morning, let it warm up a little bit, and see if she's still going to run decently. You know, the last final flight checks before we take off down the runway. And tomorrow morning is supposed to rain a bit. I don't like that. If it rains any more than a bit, we can't back this car out because the ground is too soft right here. It'll sink right in. I can't just get a run and start because I got that big ditch out there. I'll bottom out on it. So I don't know. Let me check with my feet here, see what it looks like. Right now it's pretty hard. It should be able to hold the car. And but if it rains tomorrow morning, anything heavy, we're screwed. We are screwed until after Christmas, which is out of my control. But right now, she's ready to rock and roll. Today's the 23rd of December. It has not rained. It's plenty cloudy though. But the ground appears to be nice and hard. No rain means it's not soft. Because I'll tell you what, I have actually bogged down out here with my pickup truck. My Toyota had to have a guy with a Ford come tow me out. And he was my brother-in-law. I never heard the end of that. You know, a Ford towing my Toyota, because I was always dogging him about his Ford, you know. So guess what? We all know what that means. Now she may wind up pulling to the right, and I know that the idle is a little high. We're going to get to that later. I just wanted to get this done before Christmas so everybody can say, hey, we did it, we did it. Okay, here goes. Well, she's not pulling to the right. Let's see if she shifts. Woohoo, she shifted. All right. I actually had to clean the windshield. It was so dirty I couldn't even see the road. Well, what do you think, guys? The first drive. This is what's down this way, by the way. A lot of nice houses down here. That one there, that old boy right there, built that place all by himself. Our temperature's sitting at about a half. Oil pressure's good. Fuel shows almost half a tank. Generator charging. I mean, what more can a man ask for? Alright, I like this. We'll go down to dead ends all just up the street here a little ways. I don't want to take this thing too far. There is a slight pull to the right, just slightly. I like coming down here to test out the cars because it's, you know, I can pull up to the left here and then back over there where that gravel's at to get back out of here. Alright, in reverse. Well, I'll tell you what, this definitely needs some more work done to it. But I'm happy so far. It's got a slight brake line leak too. I've got to fix it. It's always something, you know, it never ends with these cars. I have no idea what that is. Well, you know, I'll pretend. I'll be like Vice Grip Garage. I'll just pretend I didn't hear that. All right, are we red eye? Yes, we are. Let's head to the house. Oh, I guess I better shift it into the next gear, huh? There we go. This thing's got a drive 1 and a drive 2 and a low. And I had it in drive 1, I think it was. I don't know what I had it in. It was in the wrong gear, I know that. She's running pretty darn good. I'm happy with it. I wouldn't want to take it down to Little Rock though. Kind of unsafe all the way around. There's some really, really nice places along here. This old boy that lives in this house, coming up that gray house on the left with the car in the carport, he's a Trump supporter, obviously. And he's a roofer. He's done a lot of roofing in this area. He'll be putting a new roof on our house in the not too distant future. Alright, I hope everybody's happy. There's our first drive. That was fun, wasn't it? Yes, it was. But I think we better put it back to bed because it's not exactly the way I want it. Now, again, Vice Grip Garage would take a car like this and drive it 14,000 miles to get it home. He would too. He fascinates me. For those of you who have never heard, come on, get in gear, you sucker. God. There we go. For those of you who never heard of Vice Grip Garage, you need to look at his channel. He's quite a character, he is. All right, let's put old Pearline back in the manger here. I am happy we made the drive, finally. God, 2.5 years, I think, right? Something like that. I cleaned the windshield, but it sure doesn't look it, does it? Come on, baby, get in there. Come on, you can do it. Yes, you can. There we go. All right. All right. Definitely got some brake problems in the front still. Okay, no applause, just throw money. Well, nothing blew up, and we didn't spring any major leaks of any kind that I can see, except for that slow drip I have in the brake line. But the master cylinder is full anyway in both of the reservoirs. So I'll tell you what, she performed not too badly for the first go-around, but boy, do I have a lot of work to do. I think once we get the interior spruced up, I'll feel even better about it. But I want to tune the engine up a little bit more. I think I have a miss. We're going to play with that. But there won't be any more videos on the car until after the first of the year. I may put up a video, I don't know, maybe tomorrow or the next day. I'm not sure. A short video. Right now, I have to get downtown. I've got to do some shopping. I only have 2 more days until Christmas. So that ends video number 104, A, B, and now C. Well, it's that time of year again when I always head down to the Salvation Army, normally at Walmart, to talk to our good buddy Gerald, who's a bell ringer for the Salvation Army. He's out there every year. But this year he said he's not doing it so much. And so I went down to the Salvation Army and talked to him this morning. I said, I'll tell you what, I will be down here this afternoon and we'll get together just like we normally do. We'll just do it right in the store. We've done it that way once before. He said, no problem. Come on down. So that's where I'm heading right now, to link up with Gerald, because we have some money to donate. Well, here we are. We're going to go in there and rustle up old Gerald. Get this over with. He likes to see me every year, and I like to see him. He's a good old feller. This is a nice little store. If you want some books, this is the place to do it. Every year I donate money with Gerald, and were you here the last time I did it?
I think so, yes, sir.
Yeah, well, we're going to donate some more. Did that make you happy?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you so
well, you
much.
were on YouTube last time. You're going to be on YouTube again because you're such a nice person.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Yeah, we're gonna do some donating. I love donating at Christmas time with Gerald. Too bad he wasn't over to Walmart. I always like to go over there.
Oh, yes.
What's your first name?
My name is Keely.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Sir.
Yeah. It's been a while. Last year I caught him at Walmart, and this is kind of my little payback scene. You like that, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, sir.
Well, I've got one guy that's got to be donated for is Brendan. He's my mentor. He lives up in Michigan. Anytime I have a problem with any kind of my hobbies, he's a genius. He knows everything there is to know. So we'll stick a little $10 in there for Brendan. Okay, he's a good fella. Okay. Let me see who is next. Who's next on this list? Oh yeah, a guy by the name of Ron C. He lives down in Florida. Fine fellow, one of my YouTube subscribers, always helpful, always willing to help out. He has sent things to my wife who's not feeling very well, and I like to pay him back every Christmas at least. Stick another 10 in there for him. So we got Brendan and we got Ron C. Now let's see who else we got here. I'm going to have to get you to hold on to this yellow piece of paper I had. I keep losing it. Here we go. Brendan, Ron C. Now we've got Nick. We got people all over the place. Yeah. Now Nick, he's the owner of the Vintage Thunderbird Repair YouTube channel. I'm restoring or refurbishing an old Thunderbird. Oh. Nick is a genius. Been at it for 40 years. He knows everything there is to know.
Oh my goodness.
And he sent me a part I needed and didn't charge me a penny for it.
Oh, that's wonderful.
You know, I don't forget things like that. You see, it's the old story. He didn't expect me.
God helps you out.
That's right. You know, that's what I keep saying. You know, if you don't expect it, it does come back. Yes, it does. Here's one for Nick. Here you go, Nick, old buddy. Another 10 for Nick. How's that? Put that money in there.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. The Salvation Army appreciates it.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it.
Well, we got one more here. I'm not going to take up a whole lot of your time, but I know who
I've
we
always
got.
got time for you.
You always got time for me. Here's one.
So there you are.
Okay.
But here's one that has got to be donated for because he's a fine fella and I think he's wonderful. His name is Gerald. Do you know anybody by the name of Gerald?
Well,
stick it in there, Gerald.
I will. Yes, sir.
Okay, now throughout the year, there are other people who send me things and boost my morale and keep saying, keep going, John, you're getting the car going, you're getting the car going. You know, it's been a 2.5-year process, Joe. Well, you know, I don't have a whole lot of time, and some of that stuff's expensive. So you have to save up the money to get it, you know, that sort of thing.
Yes, sir.
So I don't want to miss anybody. So what I'm going to do is to make sure I don't miss anybody. I don't know how much is here.
That's right.
Let me see. Count how much is there. Count how much is there.
There's a 10. There's a 10, that's 20, 30, 40.
How about that? How about we'll stick that in there for everybody I might have missed, and that hopefully I've atoned for that with a little extra $40 in there. Does that sound okay?
That's
Okay.
wonderful.
All righty. Well, I guess we'll be seeing you next year. Now you will be here next year, right?
Yes, hope so.
Me too. Me too. You gonna be here?
Oh, yes, I will.
Well, I'm glad to see you're still here. Last time you had a really bright red sweater on. I remember
Yeah.
that.
I had to do green today.
That's cool. Next year, orange. No, yellow.
Yellow.
Yellow or purple, whichever that.
Probably purple.
Okay. We'll see you later. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
And
Yeah,
John,
and-
we appreciate you very much.
Nah, it's
And
okay.
it's been-
I get more than I
get to
give.
see
Trust
you
me.
every year.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Well,
a
you know,
pleasure.
once this COVID crap is over, maybe I can come down. We'll just go out to lunch someday or something.
Yeah.
You know, wouldn't that be cool? We can
And
talk
just-
about stuff
just
the young people don't
visit.
have any idea about.
That's right.
They don't know where we come from, do they? No, they don't. Well, thank you very much. You take care.
Thank you, and God bless you.
And tell
Merry
your-
Christmas, and I hope your wife does too.
Yeah, I hope so too. She has her ups and downs, but that's, you know, we deal with it. You know, older folks deal with it. We don't whine and cry. Tell your granddaughter, I know she doesn't know me, but tell her I say congratulations, okay?
All right,
Okay.
sure
And-
will. And thank you very much.
Yes.
Now, wasn't that fun? You bet it was. I always look forward to linking up with Gerald down here or in front of Walmart. Unfortunately, he didn't get the Walmart gig this year. He was at another location. I didn't know about it. Anyway, that's it for now. And by the way, old Gerald, you know, he's a good feller, and I do like Keeley. And Gerald, he's an old Vietnam veteran, you know, so he and I, we talk a lot about certain things. But, you know, as soon as this COVID stuff is over, the two of us, we're going to go out to lunch. I'm going to buy that boy lunch because, you know, he took care of his granddaughter and raised her up, and he just shows character. The man's got character. So anyway, until next year, guys, this is John.